Hello, Clockverse. It's Clockwinder and Clockwork Jalopy. Today on a special Clockwork Jalopy, girls. Stephanie, a friend of mine, posted a link. Basically, the creators of the new Tomb Raider game were discussing how young Lara has to fight off being raped. And some of the bottom feeders of the internet were like, can we do this in first person? This sounds great. And this started a dialogue on whether women are objectified in games or by gaming men, gaming geeks. I'm an old-timey gaming geek. Still game today, but I'm an old-timey. When I started gaming, it was pen and paper. When I was a kid, did I objectify women in the fantasy world? Did I ever have a fantasy of being an emperor in a land of smoking hot women who worshipped me like a god and fought every night to be with me? Yeah, I did. Did that ever carry into reality? No. I think reality, from my perspective, and please feel free to comment below, was always that I had a tendency, or my friends had a tendency, to worship women. I don't know if worship is another form of objectification. We consider that another form of objectification. But there was almost a worship of women. A relationship of women was the Olympus of achievements when we were a teenager. It's odd to hear the comments that were coming out, because I just think that the way the internet is now, that inner fantasy dialogue can spew out in text instead of, never being spoken of out loud as it was in my day. Unless you're sitting around with your friends, talking about the latest Pat Benatar video and how Pat digs you. But a case in point, I guess, would be my first relationship. I was 17 years old before I went out with a girl. Yeah, get this. I was 17 years old, and I met her at a D&D game at Days and Nights. Nothing says loser like that. Woohoo! She was fantastic. I will say this about the Clockwinder. I may not have great quantity in women that I've dated, but quality. Every girl, from the first girl I dated to my wife, have been some of the most fantastic females I have ever had the privilege of knowing in my life. The only issue that's ever existed in a relationship with me has been the Clockwinder. Meet this girl playing D&D. Everything a 17-year-old Clockwinder could want. And I just have no clue on what to do. The longest conversation I ever had with a girl up to then was probably, "Hi, Brian." And that's if someone grew up with me and knew my name and was just trying to get me to go away. I had never been with nor kissed a girl. And here I was in a relationship with this fantastic girl. And as it went on, I was growing more and more intimidated, because I did not see me reaching my Olympian goal. I didn't know how to climb that mountain. And all I could think of, and girls, you're going to hate me for this, all I could think of was not talking to her anymore. Get myself out of the relationship. It wasn't because I hated her. In fact, the opposite was true. I liked her a lot. But because I was becoming more and more intimidated, the only thing I could think of doing was not talk to her anymore. That's awful. Never do that, guys. Never. That gets you a key to the kingdom of asshole, in which you'll receive a crown that you can never relinquish. Never do that. If I could say, Sue, if you ever watch this for some reason, I'm sorry. It never had anything to do with you. My regret in life is never being able to tell you that to your face. You deserved it. You deserved better than me. I apologize. But again, it's the reality of the girl and the fantasy. In fantasy, I was Hugh Hefner, smoking jacket, pipe, Playboy bunnies behind me, and on. In reality, I was not. And I guess it sort of goes when I don't think girls realize just how intimidating it is even to ask you out on a date. When I was a kid, I don't think a girl realized when I finally talked to them on the phone that I probably dialed their number 627 times. And by the time I talked to you, I was like sweating. My heart would stop beating. Oh my God, if I had to leave a message for you, I was stammering. Your parents probably thought I was an idiot. Okay. Incidentally, if you ever got a call from me as a girl and I was talking to you, it was probably because I was talking to you and wanted to ask you out, but didn't have the courage to ask you out. Maybe. It's just, you lack the courage to do this. And so when we're talking about objectifying a woman, treating her as an object, at least from where I was as a adolescent gamer geek nerd, which I still am a gamer geek nerd, just much older, I don't think we ever really objectified. Now, hey, if this is the different in your experience, please leave a message. But I think the opposite is true. We had a tendency to treat them almost like holy objects, only because we were so grateful that a warm, curvy woman would go out with us, and that's where we wanted to be. But do we objectify in a fantasy world, of which a computer game is a visual representation of? Yes. Flat out yes. When we were kids, the only visual representation of the fantasy world was the chainmail bikini-clad girl on the cover of the book. Everything else happened in your mind. When we progress past that into the games, and the more the complex the games get, that fantasy goes from the words in the module, okay, to the screen on the computer. It's a visualization of that fantasy. So yeah, do the games objectify women? Probably, yeah. Undoubtedly, because it's a visualization of our fantasy. Would I expect a 17-year-old kid to have a fantasy of going to a wine tasting at a gallery, then going home with you in a hybrid to your village loft, snuggling under an Afghan that you both knitted while watching an independent film, cuddling with a kitten? No. No. Hormones and evolution are too strong for that. But I don't think, for the most part, at least the people I know, objectify women in reality. In fantasy, yes. In reality, no. Just my opinion. This is a Clockwinder on Clockwork Jalopy. Clockwork Jalopy from Hell's Heart. I stabbedly. You guys have a great day.